So we're rolling. Mary,
Awesome.
how are you?
Oh, I'm great, Marshall. How are you?
I'm doing well. To all our viewers, Mary reached out to me on Facebook and mentioned something about like a spiritual program for homeless people to help them discuss their spirituality or explore spirituality. And I was really interested in this, Mary, so I figured maybe you could share a little bit about yourself. Tell us about yourself and about like the spiritual project.
Sure. So, hi everybody, my name is Mary Dalva. I am in grad school right now for Master's in Spirituality at Merrimack College. But my background has to do a lot with working in holistic services, so helping people with like intuitive, psychic medium kind of things, astrology, all that good stuff. But my spiritual projects, fingers crossed, is to bring spirituality out to folks who may be spiritual but not religious, exploring spirituality, things like that. And I think for folks that are experiencing or close to experiencing homelessness, it's not your first priority, right? It's not. You want to be okay. So, but I want to have some kind of resource for folks who want to be able to find, you know, just regular resources out there, but also just anything that is on their heart, you know. So sometimes that can be spiritual, or sometimes you just need someone to listen and validate you. And so that's what we want to provide, is some kind of program, and of course it needs to be what folks want. So that's part of the reason why I'm here, is to hear what folks want and need from some kind of spiritual but non-religious program.
So do you see, like, obviously, like, you're gonna have to connect with the people, and you and I have talked before this, like, we had discussed this beforehand. How would this like project operate, and how would it you know, help bring the information to people, bring them together, kind of get them in this community setting? How would you do this?
Yeah. Well, a big part of this is I think we need to be in person, because community, I think, has to come together. So that's one thing. And the other piece of it is based on what people need at that point. So we can talk about a topic that folks want to talk about, or if just someone, like I said, is exploring their spirituality, bringing in people who understand what they're looking at. So, you know, I know, Marshall, you're a Buddhist. So, yeah. So it's like, if you could speak to that if you wanted to, or someone say, you know, they wanted to just get some kind of,
I could come in and talk to them and put them to sleep talking about Buddhist philosophy for an hour.
But I think that's part of it. We need to be practical, right? So how, as a Buddhist, does this work for you in your life? That's how, because I always believe spirituality has to be practical. You know, we can't be all woo-woo and walking on clouds all day. Like, we have to say, like, you know, I'm going to hold on right now because I know there's someone on the other side that's rooting for me, kind of thing. So, you know, just something. And I think that's what gets a lot of people through. And I don't know if folks have that in the homeless population. So I want to help with that.
So, and I can tell you, like, what I've seen, like, kind of just living out, mainly out here in the Commons homeless, is I love the churches. Like, I have a deeper appreciation for Jesus Christ being homeless out here. But that's what they kind of, that's what they, you know, kind of go with, is Christianity. So I haven't really seen any other spiritual walks of life involved with helping the homeless. But I think, now that you've explained it, I think that it's a really good idea. Now, me as a homeless man, I have to say that if you were to have like some spiritual workshop and we're going to talk spirituality, I would be excited. But is there going to be a dinner there?
Well, food always brings people, so we'd have to have a dinner. Like, of course, we have to have dinner together. It's a community. What, we're not, and I'm half Italian. It would be bad if I showed up with no food. I mean, come on now. It's got to be good. So yeah, absolutely. But I think that's what we need, is to like say to people, like, hey, we're supporting you through this, and if that looks spiritual, great. Because I also, now we're talking about this, I know some folks deal with religious trauma and spiritual trauma. So, but you want to have that connection. We want to provide that without all that baggage. Like, that baggage isn't there. And so for some people there is, you know, some baggage around that. So
explain, like, spiritual trauma, because I'm really curious about this.
Well, I think people growing up, sometimes you have your home of origin has some kind of interesting spiritual ideas, or used religion in ways to manipulate and to hurt people and to control, abuse. And we know there's been problems out there in different spiritual communities, religious organizations that have created trauma in people's lives. And that's not what this is, obviously. We're not I'm not here to get into people's trauma in that sense, but I'm here to come and provide a resource. If you're like, I really still miss that part of me, okay, well, let's make it so it's a part of you that you feel safe and comfortable with too.
So opening up a space where people can explore spirituality, non-judgmental, and something that came to mind for me is, like, when I studied Christianity a lot, I found all kinds of discrepancies in the Bible, and I went to other, you know, hard-hitting Christian folks, and I'd be like, hey, I found this, and this doesn't make sense, and they would dismiss me and, like, you know, tell me that, like, I have no faith, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I would say that's spiritual trauma, because that kind of, during that period, that drove me more to, like, the Eastern philosophies that, you know, were open to more debate and criticism, and, like, you know, it had more of, allowed more open-mindedness. So, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, so that's what we want to create, you know, for somebody who's had that, you know, invalidation in any respect is not good. You know, it hurts the heart. So, but from a religious standpoint too, I think it has a little extra kick to it. So I'd want to have that space where you feel comfortable to come back to whatever your soul is asking you for, whether it's God or Buddha or whoever it is. It's like, but it's just that connection. But I also balance that with, if you're trying to figure out how you live, like it's got to be practical. It's got to be practical. Practical.
And,
yeah.
And in the sense of, like, a lot of people, and I said to you before, is a lot of people I met in the streets are extremely spiritual, but yet they're still homeless. Like, the spirituality doesn't solve the problem of the homelessness.
No.
But it brings, and what I love is with the people that, like very Christian, God faith-based, spiritual, is they have such a positive attitude, and like everything's grateful, and like the Lord will provide for today, and it's upbeat. Like I like, you know, like I was sitting on a bench one day, and I was surrounded by people arguing and dealing drugs and smoking weed and with like negativity, and there's a woman, and little old woman, and she talks about God, and she was talking to me about God, so she was like a ray of sunshine in kind of like a dark surroundings for me. So
put a little bubble on you for a minute. Yeah. Well, that's it too. Sometimes you just get you get a word from someone that's kind, and I think that's part of spirituality. It doesn't have to be religious. If you're kind to someone, if you're compassionate, that's part of the world, like the world's spirituality. It should be. So
when do you want to have this project? When would you like to have it? You know, prepare it and put it together and have it ready to go.
Oh gosh. Well, what do we think, Marshall? What do you think people would want it? I'll prepare for November, December. I don't care. We have a survey that I think we're going to get out to folks maybe, yeah?
Send me the survey.
I'm going to send you the survey.
And I'll put it on all the platforms.
Yeah, because we want to hear from you about what you're looking for. And really, we want you to have a voice. To me, it's very important. You have a voice. Because I can come up with something and you can be like,
the survey is for everyone, or is it for people that are homeless?
Well, we have a separate, the survey's for everybody, but we're going to segment folks just from the homeless population or about to experience homelessness so that they can have a voice separate. But the survey's for, you know, if you have a friend that, you know, wants to take it, that's fine. I'm not going to turn anybody down. But we're going to have it segmented for the homeless population specifically so we can know what folks want.
All right, and that's awesome, because I can direct you to like the dinners and things where like everybody congregates, and you could talk to the churches, and some of them we find our UU churches are very accommodating, and get that information out there. So well, I'm really interested in this, and you know, Identify LLC and Homeless Street 66.
Yep.
We support you in this, and we want to, you know.
Well, so if you have feedback, guys, before the survey comes out, or you see this and you want to let Marshall know anything, please, because you know, we want to hear what your thoughts are, and even if you see this, you know, months later, you never know. Just let us know. If you don't mind me saying, sorry, I'm taking over your video for a minute, but you can edit me out.
No, I would never know. This is for you. I'm just out here filming stuff.
Yeah, so we want to hear what you have to say, and we'll put those programs in place. So more to come. All right,
well, Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
And just to close us out, I want to say I didn't really know what to expect when you came out here, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And I also want to say that one thing I have noticed being homeless and connecting with the homeless people out here is, you know, so there's a lack of purpose sometimes, a lack of meaning, And I know there's a lot of different spiritual and religious people out there, and I think sometimes they feel like they have the answers for others. But what I'm finding is some people might not be interested in that. You got to give them the space in the room to explore and discover for themselves. So just like the idea of giving people that the space for that, I think I'm interested in it, and I think that you might be onto something.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes.
All right,
Thank you.